Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with supernatural focus. In today's video, we are going to be doing a reading vlog. This is something I haven't done in a really long time. And I just woke up today. I looked at the weather and it just had this kind of booky, kind of let's do a reading vlog kind of vibe to it. So I was like, well, maybe I should go to the cemetery, but it is a little cold outside and I know that I won't be able to read as long as I want to, because I do want to read, I think it's like 4 books today. So what I want to do is just read like 20-40 pages into these books just to kind of get a feel of what they are, because I'm just really kind of curious about what's going on with them. And, you know, if I feel like, you know, they're calling my name and I want to keep reading them. Also, too, December has been a really bad reading month for me. It was just too busy. I was sick for a couple of weeks. It was the holidays. There was just no moment of like being able to settle down and feel, you know, really good about reading something. And sometimes that just happens. So I just kind of, I guess, want to go into, not overdrive, I kind of want to just jumpstart, you know, getting back into reading. So I thought I would do that. And I have totally gone ultra cozy right now. I have made myself a nice kettle of tea. This is lavender tea. And I have some cookies from the Abominable Book Club box. These are the lemon melts. They're buttery, they're crunchy, they're lemony, they're really, really nice, and I think it's gonna go really well with the lavender. So if you wanna get cozy as well, stop this video, go get a snack, coffee, tea, cookies, whatever, and come back and let's hang out. I do have one other fun thing to share with you before we start the reading vlog. It is a Secret Santa gift that I got from one of my fellow booktubers. All that steam, I don't know if you can see it. So Regina Sinclair is such an angel. And she put together a Secret Santa, and I was very, very happy to be involved with this. And so I actually got Lydia Peever. So I sent her a splatterpunk book because I know she likes splatterpunk. And my Secret Santa was Marie McWilliams, and she sent me these books. She sent me The Bloody Chamber. This is really cool. These are like dark fairy tales. I believe these are retellings of fairy tales, but they kind of have more of a darker edge to them. Like I saw that there's Puss in Boots in here, and I love Puss in Boots. I've always loved Puss in Boots since I was a kid. So I definitely want to read that one first. But there's also stuff in here like Bluebeard and Red Riding Hood, Beauty and the Beast, and vampires and werewolves and stuff. So this was very, very cool. The other thing that came was Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. Never read it. I don't know much about it. I know a lot of people talk about this. I think it's vampire related. I'm not sure. But this is another perfect tea read. Very, very short. And Marie really spoiled me. And she also sent me this really cool thing, which is a adult coloring book. And I love coloring books. I really got into coloring books like maybe like 6 years ago. I was working at this store and we sold coloring books like this. And during our downtime at the store, we would just color. And I usually like to use color pencils because you can just build them up so much. And these are fantastic. Look at this. So awesome. So this was such a wonderful gift. Thank you so much, Marie. You spoiled me with this gift. It's really, really lovely and very, very thoughtful as well. I know that she like really thought about like, you know, like who I am and what I might like, and she nailed it pretty much. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the books that I want to read today. The first one is Ronald Malfi's Ghostwritten. This just came in the Abominable Book Club box. This is the November box. And these are short stories. There's 4 of them in here. I think the very first story I'm going to read is This Book Belongs to Olo, because I'm just super curious about this. It is about a pop-up book that some kid just has some kind of strange power or control over or with. I'm not sure. So that's pretty intriguing to me. The other thing I want to read a little bit is The Road of Bones by Christopher Golden. I have been wanting to get to this, and I wanted this to be like my December reading, but I just didn't get to it. Scratches by Joshua Marcella. This is a haunted house story, so I'm super stoked on it. And then the last thing is something that I've already started reading, but I wanted to read another chapter because I just kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit, and this is Sweeny Todd, The String of Pearls. I picked this up because I wanted to read something old, you know? So for the first thing that I want to start with, Scratches because, and I just want to I love this chair. It's a perfect reading chair. And I love this pillow I got this from Lydia's Patreon. One, the design is just bomb. Like, I love it. Bookworm. But it's so comfy. Oh my God. I'm going to go ahead and read up to page 29, which is this section here. And then I'll come back and talk to you about it.
Connor, bring me another bud, will ya? This one is piss warm, Jenna yelled from the living room. All right, just give me a minute, the boy groaned with more than a hint of irritability. Talk about bad timing, he grumbled under his breath.
Okay, so I'm at page 30, chapter 6. I'm going to stop there and just choose a bookmark from the bookmark container there mostly. Let's see. Okay, so this is starting off with a young teenage boy whose name is Connor. And he lives with his mom, who's a single mom, and they are living in this house that they've just moved into. His mom is drinking a lot, which to Connor is a little strange because she's never done that before. She didn't do that at their other place, but she's seems very focused on drinking. And he's putting together his bedroom down in the basement. And the basement is cool and it's super hot, so he prefers to be down there. It's a little creepy in the basement, but he's just really happy to have a space of his own. And then we get to kind of go back in time a little bit, like a couple months. And this house that him and his mother have moved into, it was her father's house. And her father was a intense alcoholic and died somehow in the house. And that's how were able to move into this place, even though his mom really didn't want it at first. And she didn't want to deal with her dad at all because he was not only an alcoholic, but he's also abusive. So that's all that's kind of going on in the moment for now. I always think it's like really cool when I read horror that's written by a horror fan for horror fans. Like, you can definitely see it in this because Connor likes everything horror. You know, he likes comics and movies and books and all that type of stuff. And he also like has this kind of draw to the aesthetic of haunted house stuff. And the thing that makes this house interesting for him is that there is a cemetery right next door. And he was saying that he was like really giddy and just couldn't wait. I think it's different when like you read horror, but you're not a horror fan. But if you are like a diehard horror fan, so you read something like that and you're just like, yep. So, you know, so far it's okay. Not much has happened. Not a lot is going on, but it is intriguing a little bit. I want to see, like, is his mom drinking a lot now because she's in the house and she's being influenced to drink a lot? And is she going to become an abusive alcoholic? You know, I know something happened. I know there's something in the basement. So what is it? Did the dad die down there? No idea. So definitely intriguing and I'm enjoying it. I really love this teacup, but the place where you put your finger, it's like really small. It's not very comfortable to drink out of. All right, let's go to the next book. We've talked about this book before, but just to jog your memory, This is like it's like a spooky road trip through Russia, but it's through this very specific highway that was a former massive graveyard for the Soviet Union's Gulag prisoners. And I'm assuming it's haunted. And what this main character is doing, the reason why he's going on this road trip, is because he wants to document ghost stories, sort of like Grimm's fairy tales, but ghost stories, which I think is really cool. I think this might be a creature feature, but I'm not really sure. But I do think it's also paranormal. But let's go ahead and give it 20 pages. Let's see what happens, how we feel about it. So that's just all of chapter 1. So let's do it.
Tig snapped awake behind the wheel and hit the brakes, but the tires found only ice. Prentice screamed as they slid across rutted permafrost. Tig turned into the skid.
Wow, okay. Let's get another bookmark here. Okay, so I read up to chapter 2 to page 28 because it starts on page 7. Really digging it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what's happening. All right, so in the beginning, it's really kind of surprising to me, this book. Okay, so at first, in the very beginning, there's a car crash, and it's our main character, Tig, fell asleep behind the wheel, and he's with his companion, Prentice, and they crash in the snow, and it's like really horrifying. Like it's so scary. So Tig like gets out of the car, and he's just like in shock. And his friend is like, I can't believe you fell asleep behind the wheel, you know? They get back on track, and we get to start to see where they are in Siberia. And they are on this icy road. It's freezing. There's nobody around. There's like a gas station every 150 miles or so. And they do have some kind of a schedule and a plan that they're trying to follow, which is that they are, doing this documentary of the Road of Bones. And this is the road that they're on. But it's sort of like a preliminary research that they're doing. So it's not like they're not really shooting it, but they're doing some preliminary work so that they can take this to producers and other television people to try and get them to, fund it. And so we're getting to learn a lot about Tig and just kind of like why he's on this quest. He has this thing with the paranormal, which is, it's not that he believes it, because he hasn't really seen anything to cause him to believe that ghosts exist. But he did have a sister who died, and he was pretty sure that he would see her spirit at some point. But he hasn't. But that's why he's kind of on this journey. He wants to believe, but he needs to see this for himself. And the Road of Bones was something that he read about, and it just sort of, lit that beacon inside of him or something about the paranormal. So he decided to do this thing. He's done like multiple other shows about different things. So he's kind of a filmmaker and a writer of sorts. So he's like, I am in debt and I need a show. And I've read about this place, and just reading about it makes me feel kind of spooky and eerie. So he goes out there with his friend, who's also the cameraman, Prentice, and they're meeting up with someone who lives in the area, and they're going to be interviewing people and just talking about them, about, I'm assuming, the history about the place, but also anything paranormal that's been happening. And it ends on chapter 2 with basically they have a guide that they picked up, and the guide is like, oh yeah, I believe in ghosts, and I'll tell you, so it's really cool. I think one of the coolest things that I like about this is that the the world building, I guess, for like where they are. It's giving you a really great sense of just how cold it is, how bleak it is, its history. It's pretty chilling and very exciting. It's very gripping. I'm very, very into this, way more than I thought I was going to be. And I can't wait to know where this goes. This is really cool. Okay. I'll be right back. I need to get more tea. And then we have 2 more books to do. 2 more books. This is cool. This is fun. I'm really enjoying it. So this one came in the Abominable box, like I said. I thought I hadn't read any Ronald Malfi, but actually I had started reading The Spiral Staircase, and I couldn't really get into it. I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't pulling me. But it could have just been like a mood thing. Like, I just wasn't in the mood for it, so I'm not sure. So I am curious to see how I will react to this. I'm gonna go ahead and start reading This Book Belongs to Olo, because that's the one I think is, I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me. And we're gonna go ahead and read 20 pages. And that'll be 5 chapters. I guess they're pretty short. And see how it goes.
The boy stood at the cusp of the park, not moving. It was the middle of July, with a sky the color of faded blue jeans. Yet, when he wore a plastic time store.
Okay, so I started on page 213 and I read to page 248, so chapter 6. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick out a bookmark. So, okay, I mean, all right. So this story starts out with this little boy. He's dressed like it's the character on the cover. You can see. So he has on this like clown mask, and he's in these slacks and these short sleeve shirt or whatever. And he's like at this playground, and all of these kids, like they're between 10 and 12 years old, they see him and then they just kind of like start making fun of him because he looks weird. So he actually has brought these handmade invitations for people to come to his birthday. He's turning 10, and they're made out of red construction paper, and it has like a black smiley face drawn on one side. And then when you open it up, this little house pops up. And it's like all glittery and stuff. And it's like, you've been invited to my birthday party. And these kids are not impressed. Or at least they're not acting like they're impressed. They're very like, this is, this sounds like a baby's birthday. Who cares or whatever. But he is not fazed. He's just like, yeah, here, take one. Here's one for you and one for you and for you. And they're just, they're just giving him the business, But he's not deterred, and he just kind of goes home, and we kind of get to see like his home and where he lives and everything. And then we get to meet his parents, and his parents are, how would I describe his parents? His parents don't really give a shit about him, like they're too busy with their own careers. They're both authors. But there is something mysterious going on, because there's a cop that shows up and is like, I want to ask you more questions about this girl who was tutoring your son and who has disappeared. So that's kind of like the whole setup for this. I don't know. I think like this is what I had the problem with the Spiral Staircase or the Hidden Staircase or whatever. I think there's something in the way that Ronald Malfi writes that doesn't really work for me. And it's not like it's bad or anything like that at all. I think it's just like a personal preference thing. So I had a really hard time getting into it and just kind of staying interested as I was reading. And to be fair, like once I was kind of getting towards the end of my, you know, what I was going to read, it was getting interesting. And, you know, there were these moments where it was like kind of funny or whatever. The kid is definitely creepy. You know, like there's something going on with this kid. But yeah, but I definitely I'll keep reading it because I am curious to see like what's the kid's deal and, you know, what does it mean and everything. But I do have a hard time with the prose on this one. All right, so the last thing that we are going to read is a little, very short chapter of Sweeny Todd. Now, I wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's kind of fun. I mean, it's fun, like it's real dark. It's a penny dreadful, and like I don't think I've ever really read a real penny dreadful like from that time period, you know. What's interesting about this is they were written in 1846, but the story of Sweeny Todd takes place in the late 1700s. So the first one I read is A Strange Customer at Sweeny Todd's, and this is like when we learn about a little bit about Sweeny Todd, like mainly like what he looks like and where he lives and what his profession is and stuff. But then we realize towards the end of it that he's a violent character. Yes, he is. And then in The Spectacle Maker's Daughter, we get to learn about this girl who has a connection to one of the characters in the first story. And so like her main thing is like about her confiding to her father that she's in love with this person and just really how depressed she is. And because she thinks this person has like something has happened to them. So she's like telling him all these things, you know, like she had this dream and she's been waiting and just like all this stuff that she's never told him. And they have this like really sweet relationship, which I know is like setting us up for something horrible. So the next chapter is called The Dog and the Hat. And in the first story, there is a victim who has a hat and has a dog. So that's what we're gonna read right now. It's only like this much. It's like 5 pages. So I'm gonna go ahead and start reading this one, and then we will talk about it.
The earliest dawns of morning was glistening upon the mass, the cordage, and the sails of a fleet of vessels lying below Sheerness. The crews were rousing themselves.
So in this chapter, the dog of the victim from the very first story has come back to point Sweeny Todd as the killer, which is kind of great. I love it. There's a thread in here that sort of is like how you can't stop nature, you know? So like this dog that comes back and kind of points to Sweeny Todd as a murderer, like he will not be stopped. He will, you know, die before he can not, I guess, say what he needs to say. And in the second chapter, there's a story of the girl who, you know, she's telling her father about, you know, this person she's in love with, and she tells him about a nightmare that she has. And it's a very detailed and intense nightmare where it's like her getting information from some unknown source, right? So I like that a lot. I think it's pretty cool. But Sweeny Todd is definitely not a nice person. He has a very bad temper. He seems extremely scary and also extremely powerful. You know, like someone who could strong arm you very easily in any situation. He's also not nice to kids. He doesn't like dogs. He doesn't care about anything. I'm not sure like what his thing is yet. And I guess I won't know for a while. But it's like, well, I don't know what his deal is, you know, like why is he like this? Why is he so angry? Why is he so murderous? He also has that kind of like con artist type thing, you know, where like he's a barber. So he's like, oh yeah, come on in. I can, you know, do this for you, do that for you. No problem at all whatsoever. But he might just kill you. So I'm definitely liking this and I will keep reading it. So just to recap, I think my favorite thing that I'm reading out of everything here is The Road of Bones. Second place, I think, is Scratches. And of course, Sweeny Todd. And, you know, I think this is in last place for me, to be honest, unfortunately. Maybe I'll do another reading vlog where I pick out books where I am like, I don't think I'm going to be into that book because of whatever reason, and just actually seeing like how they feel and how they're reading. Just a little test, because I guarantee there's going to be one or more that I'm going to love, you know? So thanks so much for joining me for this reading vlog. I hope that you enjoyed it and it was fun. Don't forget to comment down below and hit that like button. It's very good for the algorithm. YouTube is super weird these days, so it definitely will help. And if you would like to get more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. Other than that, please take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.